Okay, I'm back. I know you've been waiting to get into making the prop on the ME109. So here are all the pieces. I made, as I recall, two of the three prop blades, and I'm trying to show you that they're thin and shaped. The little toothpick had to be flattened so that the blades didn't look so silly with a big bulge. Then what I did on two of the three, and then I'll show you the third one, is I cut out the hub piece, which is this long, sprawled out piece, and I glued it to the tip of the little toothpick. That'll be the insert. And you can see it just rolls around. And all you do is add glue to this and carefully roll it together. So here it's going to be speeded up because it's boring to watch someone glue. My son says it's boring, so I had to do this. I slow it down here at some point because I want to show you that the very tip there, you want to make sure that that is wound up tightly but also very evenly, because that little last strip is going to give you a nice little hub edge and just make the whole prop hub look that much better. And when it's all done, it's amazing how it looks like something out of a plastic or a resin model. So just very carefully put it around and tuck it in tight. And the Arlene's glue, tacky glue, works pretty quick. And there you get that piece ready to go. Now you put the two blades on either side is really all you do next. The blade itself is slightly curved to make it around the whole edge. And I also need to remember the hub is actually made of just regular paper, not the thick paper that's used for the rest of the model, because when I rolled it, it was too thick. So now all I have to do is add some glue to the base, and then add a little bit of glue along the flat toothpick, and all you gotta do is not put too much on. And you go ahead and center the blade and put it down there and butt it up against the very bottom. And I'll turn this over and try to keep it kind of in the center. Give it a little push, a little squeeze. This glue sets up really fast once you do that. And then I'm now just going to turn it over and try to fit the other piece on. The hardest part of this is at the base, because even though there's enough room for the blades to fold all the way around and sort of form a shape at the base, you got to really be careful and sort of pinch it very carefully. So I put glue around the very edges. I don't like I put any glue along the wood on this side, because I find if you put glue on that centerpiece, it sticks out too much. It's too solid. But then you just put the blade on like a clamshell, stick it down on the base, pop it on, and you just manipulate it until they're just about overlapped as best as possible. Later on, I can cover the edges to hide some of the light. But now it's just a matter of very carefully going through and pinching the edges as best you can, all the way around to try to seal up the ends. You guys can't see that well with this, but there's parts where it's definitely open, and so I have to go back off camera and squeeze it together multiple times just to get it to set. And especially at the base, you squeeze it. I find that using tweezers is nice, because you can get down the very tips, the very edges, pull them close, and then sort of work your way around the edges, just like that. And then won't close at first, and it looks like it won't close, but then if you do it a couple of times, then the paper doesn't stretch, but it definitely does end up closing, looking good. Take off a little excess glue, make sure it's tight, and then you basically have a finished propeller blade. And you can see I sit there and keep banking around with that very base just to make sure it's squeezed closed as best as possible. Drop the blade a few times. And this is all just the reason being is to try to get rid of the seam. But when you're all done, you got three nice propeller blades that are actually nicer in terms of how you put them together, looking really realistic than a lot of plastic models because they're separate. And you put them on and you can adjust the pitch. And they work really well. So now I think I'm pretty well satisfied with that. Looks good. Extra glue's off. So now I'm going to take a little Sharpie, and you could probably use a better thing like a gray paint or something. You're really careful about matching. all I do is go around the edge here like you did on the fuselage pieces and the other parts and sort of make sure there's very little white showing through. Or if there's some, you make sure that you try to get rid of most of it just to make sure it looks kind of all one piece. Again, I'm amazed how nice they look when they're done. I mean, it looks every bit as good as something you would get in a kit. It does not look like a piece of paper, close up or far away. So I was very pleased. The biggest thing I found was using the round toothpick wasn't the best idea. It definitely had to be flattened. So there are all the components. And so the next thing you do, if you remember that has a little set of holes inside, it's that socket where the toothpick just fits in, you just plug that guy right in there. Because the tip has a little bit of toothpick hanging out right on the edge. Oh, and there's a seam there. So I just make sure that seam is on the back side. Maybe it won't show up as well. I'll end up putting a little bit of glue, test fitting it, and you can twist it to see what the pitch is going to be. And you have to just be careful to make sure you turn it the way it would be if it was actually turning on an airplane. In this case, if the pilot's sitting, the propeller turns to the right. So that means I have to, when he's looking forward, I have to make sure the pitch is going to grab the air. And off camera here, I'm trying to make sure the pitch is right, and then I realized I should probably show you. So all I'm doing is kind of adjusting this so that it looks about right. Maybe about a 45-degree angle at the base or so. So now when it turns, it would turn and grab the air and push the air back. So that makes sense. You just got to make sure it's nice and straight and perpendicular. And then I speed this up because all I'm doing is putting on the other two blades. And dropping the thing yet again. But these all fit together very well. The design of the prop hub and the spinner is really exceptional, I think. It's the only one I ever made. But it really fits together intuitively and very nice. And you just sit this last one in. You make sure, again, that it's nice and straight. Make sure your pitch matches. And then you got to make sure everything there's no drooping blades, basically, which is what I'm checking. And then I have problems here just because I can't figure out how to hold the stupid part because the pieces are still drying. And now I'm eyeballing it to make sure that it's straight, adjusting the blades a little bit. And this glue will give you time to do that. And then if you just let it dry for a while, it dries pretty dang solid, so you won't hurt anything. I put it down on the building board because it's got all those right angles and things. And you can sort of get a feel for are you even or not. And this looks pretty good to me. It'll look great, I think, sitting on the front. Good deal.